Hey everyone, welcome to another fantastic interview episode of Electronic Cafe. Mate, brilliant to chat to our good friend, Mr. Matt Lowell from the wonderful Low Moon.
Yeah, it's great. It's always good to talk to Matt. Fantastic new album, their third album out now. A real, I guess, pivotal album for Low Moon.
Yeah.
They're getting lots of critical acclaim, and we really want them to get the commercial success that goes along with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they thoroughly deserve it, not just because they're an amazing band, but they're really lovely, genuine people. And as you say, the third album's getting great press sort of coverage and really good reviews. So, yeah, look, I think you and I have been talking about these guys for 3 or 4 years now, and I love it when we bring people to their gigs and we're trying to create evangelists for the bands who think they deserve it. I just love watching people's reactions when they see and hear them for the first time, and then they go off into the evening going, what an amazing band, and they are. And as you say, it was great to get Matt on. Super guy, great vocalist, great band.
It's really interesting to hear about the new album because obviously third album, new management, new record label. They had a residency in London at the end of last year, which the show's just got bigger and bigger. They road tested a lot of these songs from the new album at those shows, and you could see everyone's jaws just hitting the floor because they were just like phenomenal anthemic songs. They've definitely moved up a few gears, and it's really interesting to hear the backstory to the album and the expectations and what the band want as much as what we want.
Yeah, I agree. So should we let our lovely EC crowd see the interview that we did with Matt? Let's dive in there.
So it's all about this.
Yep.
So let's dive in. I got 2 little ones, but they're locked in a cupboard next door. So.
Hey everyone, welcome to another fantastic interview edition of Electronic Cafe. We're thankful we've got the frontman of, without doubt, one of our favourite bands for the last 5 or 6 years, who've released their third album. It's brilliant to have Matt Lowell here from Low Moon. Matt, welcome again, my friend, to Electronic Cafe. So good to see you, buddy.
You too, man. Thanks for having us.
And congrats on the album. It got released last week. We've seen some amazing feedback. Just a quick question for me, Matt. What's the story with the title and that really great picture? Because it's a fantastic cover, but the title and the picture, I'd love to know what the thought was on that.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one. I'll start with the picture. We were in the studio in Stinson Beach, and I had kind of a bunch of Pinterests about kind of artwork Pinterest that I was building throughout the entire kind of album recording process. And I knew that the album took place at this school that I went to in northeastern Connecticut. So I wanted it to have a New England or an English feel. And the dormitory on campus that's called the Bricks, and it no joke, it looks like that cover, you know. And I found this picture of this kid hanging out the window. And when I was at school, I mean, that's everyone used to hang out the window, and it was just very striking as an image, and also brought me back to a time that I was in high school, and it looked like where I went to school. So I found the image, and I was like, I think this is the album cover. And I showed it to the band, and the band was like, oh, wow, that is the album cover. And then I think 4 or 5 months went by, and we finally got into making the artwork. And I was talking to Crisanta, and I said, let's dig in on the artwork. And we came up with this other idea. I forgot completely about this image. We forgot, and we came up with this crazy idea, and we sent Sam and Sterling a text that was like, okay, we have this idea for the album art. They were like, what? What happened to the picture that you found? That was the album art. I was like, whoa, I forgot completely about it. So many different Pinterests going. My head was just spinning after the album was done. And so, yeah, we decided to go with that because it really had the feeling of the album. And we reached out. We tried to find the person who took the photo. We couldn't find them. But we did our due diligence, and then Crisanta took the photo and painted it. And I think that gives it the feeling of the album.
Yeah.
One of the band members had to dig in on that, and there's something beautiful about that. So when Crisanta showed me the painting, I was like, oh, that's the album. The title comes from a David Foster Wallace speech that he gave at Kenyon College in 2008. And the last line of his speech was, I wish you way more than luck. And
Nice.
When I read and listened to the speech during the pandemic, I just knew that was a song. I wanted that line in a song so badly. And I think I tried it 4 separate times in 4 different songs. And it wasn't until we were up in Portland and we wrote Water that it just made sense for that song. It just felt like it was always there. Sometimes you can have a line that you really want to put in a song, and it feels like you're forcing it in the song. And with Water, it was just like, the second I sang it, I woke up, basically listened to the voice memo of the night before of us jamming. And I was like, Sam woke up and it was like 7:30, and I was having like, I wish you way more than luck. That's the song that we worked on. He's like, I'm just getting up. All right, tell me about it, you know? So I was like, I went for a walk. I sang it into the voice memo. It's going to work perfectly. I know it. It's going to be great. And it just stuck, and it felt right. I wanted to call the song Water, and I wanted to call the album I Wish You Way More Than Luck.
It's funny you say about the artwork, because when we knew we was interviewing you again, and we was getting the stuff together for the new album, and I was putting together the artwork. For a long time, I thought it was a photo, but then when you drill into it, you realise it's a painting. And then you saying that Crisanta had painted it, it just makes all sense now. Because
it's really interesting, is that photorealist thing. And I also, the photo, I think we would have gone with the photo if it, like, the photo was really blown out and we couldn't find a high-res image of it. So it kind of forced our hand to get creative, and we were like, Crisanta, you have to paint it. Like, it's just going to look so much better. And it gives it so much more feeling with it being a photorealist thing, I think.
I would say, Matt, and I mean, obviously, played all 3 albums to death. The production on this one seems, and without being disrespectful to these amazing pieces of work, the production seems bigger on this than the other 2. Do you think that's a fair assessment? Because like, there's little keyboards and little bits going on in the background that you're picking up, and I'm loving that. And you know, I know Alan Moulder mixed it for you, which is not a bad thing.
I was going to say, to be completely honest, I think that has a lot to do with the production coming through. I learned a lot from the first 2 records, and we had amazing people work on them. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, I think we're just a better band, and we played a million more shows. And I think there's a lot to that when you're making your 3rd record. But I think the mix has a lot to do with the way that people are digesting the production. The production can get up when the mix is helping the production become clearer. And I think Alan, I know Alan took a lot of these songs and just leveled them up so that when you hear it, you go, oh man, yeah, I hear that thing. I mean, to be completely honest, guys, like there were moments when we got mixes back when I was like, whoa, I forgot about that thing. He brought it up. He just found it and he said, this is going to help this part of the song. And when there were a lot of back and forth of me calling him, being like, Alan, it's too saturated, it's too this. And he would push back on things, and then he would try things, and then he would send it back to us. And it was an amazing, amazing mixing experience.
Alan Moulder's got a great track record. I mean, the people he's worked with, I mean, he's worked with Killers, Placebo, 9 Inch Nails, Depeche Mode. You know, he's got a great pedigree behind him. So it's probably fantastic to hear what he did with your songs, you know, effectively.
Yeah, and we've been trying to work with Alan for a long time. So Alan was all set to do the first record, and then he loved the Loveless, and he had a connection to the band. He just the timing couldn't work. And then the second record, to be honest, I just didn't feel like it. It felt like the record needed to just be mixed. Like I couldn't think about the record anymore. I was like, let's just mix it now, like with Eve, and you did a great job. And I just think it was just like, let's get this thing done. Famously,
he worked with Sam's mum.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, they knew each other for a long time, and that's how I got introduced to Alan, and Sam was Alan's T-boy back in the day. So it was like there was a relationship there, and Alan's not going to mix the record unless he likes it, because he goes all in. I mean, there is no cutting corners with Alan. It's like, I love the record, I want to mix the record, but he goes all in, and it's really beautiful that he's still doing that.
Yeah, of course, I mean, he's not gonna put his reputation on his line by taking jobs that he's not invested in himself. So that's a massive thumbs up for you guys.
It didn't feel for a second like he was phoning it in. Like, actually, there were moments where he pushed back to the point I was like, wow, he really cares about this. Is so beautiful how much he cares.
Matt, when we saw you at Lexington, a couple of the new songs you introduced, and you told the story how you wrote them and how they developed, and about going back to your old school and playing the songs and reminiscing. And has the process changed much through the 3 albums? Have you always done kind of the same thing, or is there a totally different process for this latest album?
To be honest, this album was a lot more collaborative, in the sense that I was positive that it needed to be a band record, but also there were no outside writers besides one person on Honest that I had written just 6 years ago. That song's been around for a long time. And it was very tight. It was this vision that I had of this record that I wanted to make, and everyone in the band going, we're on board and we're there until the end. And there was never, like, we brought in friends to play on it, but there was no writing besides us. And I think that is why, to me, it feels the most honest of the record, of our records. It feels like the most vulnerable because I'm coming from a place that I'm really digging into this part of my life.
Yeah.
The band really invested themselves in that as well. And so it all started to make what I was saying meant something different to Sterling, Sam, and Santa, but it was on the same wavelength. And so we never really wavered with that throughout the whole process. Sometimes it happens like, oh, we need this song, or I wrote this song. And, you know, the second record was an amalgamation of a bunch of songs that were hanging around from the first. And then there was some writing that I did. And this time I didn't do any of that. I was like, I'm going to go to the school, I'm going to write, and then I'm going to write. And Sam's going to come over and we're going to write. And then we're going to get with the band and we're going to jam. And then that's going to be a song. And it was just, we trusted ourselves that we could do it. And I think that was the biggest. That was the biggest step. It was just like, let's just trust that we can make a record. When we started making the record, there was no label, there was no management. It was literally us. Like, we just decided and Mike Davis, who was Chris Wallow's engineer on the first record. And Mike, after seeing us in Seattle, was like, I want to make the next record. And he kept badgering me and badgering me and badgering me. And I said, okay. And then one day he called me. He's like, I can get us 6 days up at Modest Mouse's studio in Portland. Just come up. Do you have any songs? And I was like, actually, I do have some songs. And we have some stuff that we're working on. And he thought it was going to be like one piece of the demo. Instead, I came up and we had some stuff. And it was very clear, like from the first downbeat, that Mike was going to take on the co-producer role. So that was it.
Matt, I was going to ask you, love the album, it's great. It's got 9 songs on it. Was there a whole load of other songs that you wrote and they were the final 9, or?
Yeah, there's like a batch. There's probably 3 or 4 that we left off. Yeah, 3 or 4 that never really found its way. Or one of them came really close until the last second. I felt like the album was just a bit too long. And the production on the song, we just never got quite right. And I loved the song, and I still love the song, and I want to work on it. I just didn't want to put it on an album.
Yeah.
Because like we said, once it's out, that's it. Like, and I'm upset at myself because this is the learning experience. So yeah, I've done that before. I've put songs on the first. There's 1 or 2 songs on the first 2 albums that I'm like, I wish I just spent another 6 months working on it, or just left it off so that I could go back and work on it again.
You road tested a lot of the album, haven't you, on the Lexington?
Yep.
Yeah, that sort of those you're doing. So, you know, I mean, when we used to write songs, like we used to write a song in the studio, and then Andy was always fanatical about it had to be played the next show, and I was more like, it beds in a little bit over the coming weeks when you rehearse it or play it live. It kind of changes a little bit, but I guess you get to know the reaction from the audience and which ones went down well.
There's like 4 songs of the new record that we haven't played, like Day Old News, When the Kids Are Gone, Mary in the Woods, and Honest. We just haven't even to sit down and play them yet. And so I think it's going to be exciting when we get in the rehearsal room and just like, how are we going to play these songs? And then, you know, there's probably a few songs like on the first record that we started trying, like Camouflage or like My Money, maybe, you know, these songs that kind of were lost after the first album that we just never thought about again. And that's with 3 albums to dig into. I remember we played Camouflage the last night at the Lexington, and that was like a moment for people because it was unexpected, you know, and so it was also a moment for us because we had no idea what we were doing. So it's like how we were going to play it in sound check. And it, you know, I think that kind of comes from, there's a confidence after your third album to try that.
This
few guests on the tour last year. You had Adam from War on Drugs, Lauren from Churches, and Kurt Smith. I mean, how did you know Kurt Smith was a fan of Low Moon? Or
yeah, I knew that he liked the band because when the Tipping Point came out, their record, it was the same day as A Modern Life. He had tweeted,
of course,
and I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. And I think he did the same thing with Loveless as well. So he was in the orbit. And we have a friend that sings. Karina Round is a friend of ours, and she's a background singer for Tears for Fears. And so we kind of asked Karina, do you think that Kurt would be interested in doing this thing with us? And it was like, I don't know. And so we said, well, why don't you come to the show? Because we were doing these 4 shows right in LA. I said, why don't you come to the show the week before the last show, and you can kind of decide, because she had never seen us live. And so she came, and she was like, all right, I think you guys can do it. And so we said, we really want to do Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I don't want to do one of ours. Because originally I emailed Kurt, and he wrote me back, and he was like, why don't we do one of your songs? And I was like, I don't want to do one of our songs. Like, that's not. And then he said, it was like, so after that show, we called Karina, or Sam called Karina and was like, Karina, we want to do Everybody Wants to Rule the World. She's like, oh, we've done this once before, and it was a nightmare and a train wreck, but I think he'll do it. And he came to rehearsal, and we like talked about the arrangement, and we kind of worked the arrangement out exactly like they do. And then but Sam, me, and Santa got together the night before, and we kind of came up with a kind of moodier Low Moon version. And when a couple hours before Kurt came, we all got nervous, and we were just like, let's just play it exactly like Tears for Fears. And so then when Kurt showed up, he was like, I don't want to do it like Tears for Fears. And I was like, all right. And so, like, all right, we're cool. We have this version. Thank God we practiced this other version. And so I was
nice.
Version starts with no drums, and I was like, he's never really sang this song without drums. Like, I can only imagine he's never done it like this. And I was like sitting at the piano showing him, like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then I started singing, and then we went to the pre-chorus, and we were all in ears, and he came in and started singing, and I completely lost it. I mean, I was just like, it was like, you know, that's the song. That's the guy singing the song that I've listened to a million times. And when we sat in Sterling Spaces, we just went like, all right, we're doing it. And it was beautiful. And he sat with us, and we worked on the arrangement. And then I'm happy to say that when I watch that footage back, I don't think there's any other footage of me on stage with more of a smile on my face.
Well, I was going to say, because there's the moment when he walks on the stage, and you can tell that you, like us, are massive fans of Tears for Fears, Kurt Smith, and what he's done, and you can just see in your face that you're thinking, shit, this Kurt Smith. Like, I
was like, fuck, we're really doing this. All right. Like, it was really like that. It was really like that. And I remember, like, my hands were shaking when I was playing the piano part, and it was the sweetest guy. Hung out the whole night. He literally like watched the show from the front, and then like did his bit, and then like came back and watched the show again. I was like, this guy is the class act.
Wow. Yeah.
Welcome to your life.
course, Paul Buchanan as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, got to hang out with Paul. Yeah, we haven't made any music, but got to hang out with him, and I mean, I couldn't imagine Paul doing that at King Tut's. Like, I think the place probably would have come down, and it's like people would have lost their minds if that happened. So we got far away from King Tut's that night. I was like, stay at home, don't come to the gig. But it was brilliant hanging out with him, and such a beautiful, beautiful soul. And yeah, I think he's one of the best songwriters of all time. So
we just done a mini episode on Walk Across the Rooftops, which is 40 years old this year, but it's still a phenomenal sounding record.
Yeah, it's crazy because when you listen to that production, you can tell how many bands have been influenced by it, but nobody does it like that, like them,
And mate, I obviously toured all the US, Europe, UK. Without putting any pressure on you, where do you think you get the best love, best reactions to the low music when you tour, or is it universal?
No, it's in the UK. It's in the UK. Yeah. That it's clear as day, and that's because my theory on that is because there's something that's steeped into our music that is very, very close to the hearts of people that you guys just kind of know the touchstones and the touch points of where we're coming from, so it doesn't take no friction between like figuring out what are these guys doing. It's like, oh no, I know what we're doing. I know what we're doing here. I get this. So it's very clear. Very clear.
Yeah, I wrote a similar question down. I mean, I was going to say, was it fair to say that the UK latched onto you quicker? I mean, me and Andy, the similar sort of thing. Me and Andy, we saw the Killers a number of times in 300-400 capacity venues in London, tiny clubs, before Mr. Brightside broke. We saw them, they was always in the UK, and UK kind of latched onto them quicker than they were in the States. And obviously they went on to be a mega band, but the UK seemed to latch onto like the Killers and their reference points of UK music, the New Order, the Duran Durans, the Smiths, and the touch points that they had. And I see parallels with you guys as well, because obviously there's songs that sound talk, and everyone admires talk. There's Peter Gabriel. There's this kind of really nice English music scene within your DNA, and I think it's understandable why you're so popular here.
Yeah, we haven't had that Mr. Brightside moment, which is fine.
I know you had some great support bands and stuff. We saw some of the gigs. Any bands you're loving right now you can tell our guys about?
There's a band from Leeds I really love called English Teacher. I think they're really, really great. Another band that I met when I was at South by that I thought was great is another English band called Porridge. They make kind of cool electronic.
Yeah,
they're cool too. They're such sweethearts. Those two things that are brand new, like that have come out, or I think the Porridge record comes out next week. But yeah, there's a lot happening. It's funny. It's for me and Sam especially. We're always talking about these UK bands that are new. I don't really know, like in the US, I'm not really hearing anything. Trying to think if there's anything recently that I've heard that I've just thought was amazing out of the US, and I don't think so.
There's a band we've been going crazy for. Have you heard of Simon Spine? Based in New York, spelled P-S-Y-M-O-N. Yeah, they're very cool. No, they're very Talking Heads, LCD influence. They're great guys, actually. They're playing the Lexington in May. We're going to go and say hi. But yeah, I think you'd like those guys. They're really
Simon
good.
Spine.
Yeah, spelled P-S-Y-M-O-N and then Spine. Great guys as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you
check that out.
They're musicians. They're all producers and they're all engineers as well. So they all chuck into the pot, and they come up with a really great sound, really good sound. We spoke to them 6 weeks ago. Really nice, really interesting, really funny. I mean, New Yorkers. I mean, great lads. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, check those out.
Actually, Matt, just one thing for me as well. I noticed, obviously, opening track Borrowed Hills. There's a reference to Borrowed Hills in a few of the other tracks as well. Is that based on that Scott Preston book, or?
Oh no,
No,
I didn't even know that. No, I didn't know about that.
Ah, okay. Because there's this book about some guy who had, I don't know the full story, saying about the problem with a disease with his flock of sheep and stuff. And it's supposed to be quite a funny view on something quite bad. And I thought, because I typed in Borrowed Hills and it came up with that. And I thought, I wonder if that's a book Matt read that gave you the inspiration.
Oh, that's really interesting. I might need to read that. No,
Yeah.
the Borrowed Hills references, it was the first thing that I sang when I was in the chapel. It just kind of that line came out. And, I was kind of obsessed with this idea that I went to this place for 4 years on this hilltop, and it had such an impact on my life. And then I left.
Sure.
And so I was really obsessed with this idea. It was like I borrowed time, borrowed hills, just this idea basically put me in that place. And so it was kind of like, instead of, it was kind of my reference to that northeastern Connecticut.
You've got a big tour coming soon.
Yes.
You're in the UK in November, and it's kind of dovetailed either side by dates in Europe. You're playing some US dates as well. Exciting times. I mean, we'll see you in London. We've got our tickets already, but it's a bigger tour.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna, bigger rooms, bigger. I mean, it's third record, so we're excited to see how it grows.
When you finish, you always come out and meet the audience. I guess as the venues get bigger, that's going to get harder to do, right?
I mean, we'll try. I mean, I like doing that. I think it's fun.
I love it. It's great.
I think, it's I mean, if it's not for the people that are in the room, then we don't have a gig. So it feels really good to announce some of these shows in bigger venues. It's like Scala for us. I'm like, that's a big deal for us, and we were afraid, or I was afraid to take that step in the past. But we decided that it was time to just take that step. I mean, after the Lexington shows, it felt like it was time to just drop.
Yeah. Word's getting out, and me and Mark bring tons of people to your gigs, and I just love their reaction, and they all become evangelists, right? So we keep doing that, and more people do it. You're going to be where you should be.
Well, thank you. I mean, I do. I think there's something really beautiful about this world that is starting to happen around the band. Like, I'm starting to feel on this record it's just word of mouth. Like, and there's no radio in the UK. There's it's word of mouth. It's real fans who are just digesting the records and telling their friends. And to me, I mean, that's really, really the most powerful thing,
You guys did a residency at Lexington, and you was doing other shows in between, going up and down the country, and they was all like really successful. And it seemed, it seemed like you built up a lot of momentum on those dates. The Lexington shows, it was noticeable that they was kind of like getting ramped up a little bit further. Each one out of the four, there was just like there's a little bit more of a buzz on all of them. So
for sure. And that's what's exciting about doing the Scala gig, is getting all those people in one place. And the tickets went on sale yesterday, and it's positive. Really, it's feeling positive. So I'm excited. What new songs we bring and where we're at with that. To me, that's always the most exciting part, is figuring out what we're going to play and how we're going to do some of these new songs.
You did a signing and a performance in, was it Amoeba Records?
Yeah.
Amoeba. Was that good?
It was great. Yeah, it was really great. It was really fun. And it was fun to do it like a couple of days before the record came out.
Yeah.
That was fun because then people were getting the record early, and it felt like, yeah, it was kind of wholesome to do it in LA as well.
Would you do one of those in London? Because Rough Trade did a lot. Rough Trade.
Yeah, we were trying to do one at Rough Trade, but it would just, the timing wasn't going to work, unfortunately, because it's like you got to go over there.
You got a favorite track on the album, mate?
There's a few. It's Borrowed Hills. I'm really proud of that track. I think it's one of the most unique ones, and I love Water because of the way it just basically fell on my lap, and the way the band just jumped in on it. I think that was a special moment. And then Evidence has just become this, what I call closer. It's nice to have a closer where we've become a better band because of that song. Like that song exists, and we're able to do something with it live that puts us as a band like in the forefront. We have to all listen to each other. We're communicating on the spot. There's improvisation, and I think that I'm really proud of the way that song has found its legs live. So
yeah, it's a great track. I love that kind of soft start, and it goes that sort of krautrock vibe, and just
it's fun.
Like a hurricane.
So fun.
Yeah, it's great. So my favourite is Waiting a Lifetime.
Is it? I love that song too. That's a top one for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when Sam came over and he brought those chords and he had the kind of New Year's Day kind of piano riff. I was like, oh, that's real New Year's Day. And then I just came in the way singing this melody, and it came in minutes. Everyone was just around, and it felt like that. It took us a second to get the groove and the tempo and the feeling and everything right on the production side, but I love that song too, and it's great playing live.
Yeah, super.
That song, I will say, like Alan really took that thing to the next level. Like his mix on that, he made some really bold choices that if you had heard the rough mix, you would have been like, "Wow, he really did that." And the first time we got it back, I was like, "What is going on with this track? Sounds crazy." But he was right. He was right.
It sounds like you guys are on a real roll at the moment. It sounds like you're a tight unit. You're great live. You brought a brilliant album out on the back of 2 previously fantastic albums out. Is there going to be another one in the next year, 18 months, 2 years? I mean, what's the plan to?
We're writing, and I kind of want to record it this summer. Again, I don't know if it's possible. Look, we have that window from now until kind of July when we have to start rehearsing for the tour.
Yeah.
And then there's some time in August and September. So I'm gonna give it my best shot. And I think it would be interesting to just follow one up,
Nice. Well, mate, we will see you in November. Absolute massive success for this album. You and the guys deserve it, to be. For us, you should be right up there, and to us and most of the people love you are. But I'm just hoping, as you say, more and more people get to know about you. That's what we're trying to do. We'll keep supporting you and pushing you as hard as we can. So, as we said, you're one of our favourite bands the last 4 or 5 years, and so we will see you in November, mate. I'm hoping we can bring a lot of people along. We will absolutely be doing that, and look forward to that. Maybe having a beer with you after the Scala show. But it'd be great to see you guys. Give our love to the rest of the guys, to Crisanta, Sam and Sterling. You're a great bunch of people. You're amazing people, also amazing artists. So yeah, we just wish you nothing but success, buddy.
Thank you guys. Thanks for all the support. It's it's beautiful how you guys just every time you show up, there's a new person there. That's what it's all about. So we really appreciate it. We really do.
It's an absolute pleasure, Russ, because we love what you do. So we'll see you in November, Matt.
November.
We love the album. It seemed a long time ago when you said you was bringing it out, but now we've got it in our midst. We're loving it to bits. So keep it up, and we'll see you very soon, later this year.
Yeah, see you guys. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
Come along, buddy.
Should never be taken. I fell into rotation, surrender, mistaken. This is it. This is it now. This is it. The thunder radio is blasting, heaven's everlasting. If I can make it last, then all I have to do is close my eyes. Hope the dream never dies. Hope the dream never dies. Were we born for poems? Do we use the words of love? The price I pay for all I'm thinking of. All the drive south on 95 in silence. I rescue myself, count as the seconds pass. I know that this won't last. I've got a secret to tell. Try to be honest. Try to be everything you think I should